Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, five-time author and fiduciary, the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
Hello and welcome to the WorryFree Retirement. I am Tony Walker, your host for the next 28 minutes or so, and we're going to go on a journey specifically designed for savers and really specific to what we provide in terms of products and services and why. Recently, you may have watched one of our episodes on our credentials, then a recent episode we had on the wonderful world of fixed indexed annuities. But over the years, one of the problems has been because we do so much annuity work. We have written literally almost 2,500 fixed annuities since 9/11. So we're considered around the country, I guess you could say, an expert. I speak at conferences and try to train a lot of people in the proper use of annuities. The problem with that is we found over the years that the general public sometimes doesn't realize that we offer so many other services and financial products. So this is going to be a very important episode today. Not only am I going to share with you some of the products we offer outside of annuities, we'll talk briefly about annuities, of course, but how do we use our worry-free retirement? How do we use that process for savers to bring those products together so that they make sense, and then finally to produce maximum amounts of income at the least amount of cost? Because that's really what retirement planning is, folks. You know, years ago, most people didn't do retirement planning. It was not even used as a word. In fact, when I created the WorryFree Retirement, that was kind of a new concept. Most people didn't understand going through a process. You basically invested your money somewhere, and then one day you kind of lived off the dividends and interest. Nobody really did retirement planning. For instance, you might have $500,000 in a CD. That CD might pay 4 or 5%. You lived off the income. You left that at death. It wasn't real complicated. Or it used to be a lot of stocks and bonds paid good dividends. People would just kind of leave it in the brokerage account or the 401k and live off the dividends. Can't do that anymore. Now we have fees and taxes and issues with Social Security. All of these things that Tony Walker Financial is trained to do, but also all of these different products. So I'm thumbing through, and let me set the stage of where I'm going with this, because now everybody and his brother and sister seems to be a retirement specialist. People who have never even talked about retirement planning are writing articles, they're writing booklets, they're, quote, giving retirement advice, and in many cases, when I see their work, I realize they don't offer but maybe one set of products. Maybe all they do is annuities. Or maybe all they're trying to do is use life insurance and taking tax-free loans out. Or maybe, worse yet, these people are just simply money managers. All they do is they take your money, they manage it, which there's nothing wrong with that. They charge a large fee to manage it, and then they say they're doing retirement planning, but they don't do anything in terms of meeting with people face-to-face. They don't do anything in terms of what we call Social Security maximization. They don't do anything in terms of RMD planning. They don't do anything in terms of life insurance and estate planning. And they certainly, a lot of these money managers don't understand annuities. So again, what happens is not only do you really not have a retirement specialist, you don't have the three main products that every saver should consider. So let's name those three products before I kind of dive into the intentions of today's program. The three main products or types of products that every saver should consider. Number one should be some sort of annuity. Now, again, you don't have to put all your money in annuity, folks, but especially if you're nearing retirement or already retired, I always have to ask you, since annuities are the only form of investments that can provide what I call guaranteed lifetime income or mailbox money, why in the world wouldn't you want some money in an annuity, especially a fixed annuity? We do not recommend variable annuities due to the fees because of the high fees. A fixed annuity does not charge those types of fees. So that's product number one that you should consider. Product number two, unfortunately, again, most people don't understand how this product works and how it can help savers, is you need some sort of permanent life insurance. What I mean by permanent life insurance is life insurance that will definitely pay off when, not if, when you die. Again, why in the world wouldn't you want something that would be there available to you at death that's completely tax-free, and I'll show you this in the next segment, and can also maximize the amount of money you take out of your retirement accounts? See, the problem, the dilemma is if you don't have any life insurance in retirement, the proper type of life insurance, you're always going to be worried about running out of money. So what happens is you won't spend all your money because you're worried, well, if I spend it all and then I die, I might die broke, and I don't want to do that. The life insurance will give you, and I'll show you in the next segment, what I call that permission slip to enjoy your money. Yes, even if you've got an annuity, because we know the problem with an annuity is if you live long enough, more than likely nothing's going to be left to your family there. So again, the life insurance is the most valuable replacement tool out there, and I can show you how it's going to provide you more income in the long term. And then finally would be what we call brokerage accounts. Now, a brokerage account can be with any large institution. For instance, I usually don't name names, but I have to give you an example of what we're talking about. Your 401k might be managed by a Wells Fargo or a Mass Mutual or Merrill Lynch or Charles Schwab or Vanguard. Those accounts, technically, once they move out of the 401k, go into what's called an individual IRA. We tend to call them in our industry a brokerage account. That means that it's generally invested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, REITs. Those are the main products that are in the brokerage accounts. And the exciting part is with Tony Walker Financial, we are one of the few advisors around that understands annuities and also understands brokerage accounts. Most advisors usually understand one or the other, but not both. I've been licensed to sell securities since the mid-'80s. I've been licensed to sell annuities since the mid-'80s. So after 33 years and working with thousands of people, we know how to work these products into the mix. One of the products we mentioned that we don't sell, but again, I generally do recommend you have some there, would be money at the bank. So again, if you're a saver, you always want to have money liquid, whether it's a savings account, money market, CD. And when we're working with somebody, that's what we help them do, to figure out the proportions of each of those categories. So, I have to understand that our industry, this is Investment News Magazine, by the way. Let's see, the December 4th issue. This is a journal for advisors, but this is a two-page, look at this, two-page advertisement called the Retirement Income Summit. And all these folks are going to be there teaching advisors on how to do retirement planning. And that's the whole point. This is the 12th annual summit, but it's only 12 years old, which tells you really retirement income planning is a relatively new phase of planning. So when we come back, if you're retired, or especially if you're over the age of 55, you're getting into what I call halftime, you better have a plan for retirement. So I'm going to show you, I call it the three-legged stool of products for savers and the retirement planning. So when I come back, I'm going to get the whiteboard out. You stay tuned. You're going to see not only those three different types of products, but that Tony Walker Financial can be a one-stop shop for you and your family. I'll get the whiteboard out. I'll be right back.
Call me old-fashioned, but I love the fact that my husband takes care of all the finances. But if something happened to him, where would I turn?
Do you have similar worries? Well, I'm Tony Walker, and for the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people worry less about money, no matter the situation, and I want to help you too.
Don't leave your future to chance. Get a game plan now with one of the most experienced and trusted names in the business. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? For a limited time, five-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker is making available his latest book, Mailbox Money for Life. For your free copy, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the WorryFree Retirement. I'm reading from Benjamin Graham's great book, The Intelligent Investor. Boy, it's a classic. And I noticed he says that an investment operation, listen to this definition, and this was written eons ago, is safety of principal with an adequate return. An investment operation is safety of principal with an adequate return. Now, I think that definition, quite frankly, of investments has changed a lot over the years. I think after reading a lot of stuff from Mr. Graham and after my practice of 33 years and working with people, I believe the majority of people are risking way too much money. And right now we're seeing this. As we record this show, it's important to really give the date now because who knows what will happen with the market. But obviously the market's at an all-time high. We're recording this on January 18th, 2018. Folks, everybody's acting like, well, this is going to go on forever. It won't go on forever. The market never goes on forever. Now, granted, long term, well, sure, the market always tends to go up, but the real world doesn't work that way. Your plans don't work that way. Things will change. People will die. People will become disabled. You may get laid off from work. You may decide to retire early. You may take a trip. There are so many things that can happen. And if you're putting all of your eggs in that market basket right now, I would have to issue a big warning shot over the bow here. Let's diversify and really think through what you're doing. Because as Mr. Graham says here, we're talking about an adequate return of principal and an adequate return on our money. That's really what savers should be concerned about, not just throwing and going to the winds of risk. So what I'm going to show you today is something called the three-legged stool of investing for savers. Now, this was something I came up with a while back. You can tell I don't use this a lot because I'm not very good at drawing three-legged stools. America's favorite financial sidekick has got a smirk on his face. That's not a spaceship. It's supposed to be a three-legged stool. So, Tony, for savers, and again, this show is for savers. We're not talking to investors or speculators here. What are the three main products that you personally, Tony, not only have used for yourself, but sell to the general public? Now, again, how are we compensated? We either get commissions on products we sell, and I'll show you those in a second, or we earn fees on the money we manage through brokerage accounts. Currently, we're an independent fiduciary, independent financial advisor. We use Charles Schwab as our platform. They're just the custodian, though. I am the one that makes all the decisions. I make all the selections. I intentionally make sure we're choosing very, very low-fee products. In fact, we've talked about this. I won't belabor this, but on average, when I'm really analyzing somebody's portfolio, by the time you pay the money manager, by the time you pay all the fees, they're running close to 2%. So if you have a $100,000 account, they're charging you $2,000 a year whether you make money or not, on average. Our fee averages about 0.7%, 0.7%, or $700. So that's $1,300 guaranteed every year in your pocket. So again, we'll be happy to do this. We go through a free fee analysis whenever we're working with somebody. Very, very important to understand that we do manage money, and we're happy to show you how that works. So let's kind of take a look at this. So we have the first leg we're going to call death, okay? So everything revolves around your death when it comes to retirement planning. You'd say, Tony, I thought that was estate planning. No. Retirement planning, income planning, all revolves around the idea of death. The problem is we don't know when we're going to die in most cases. So the planning has to be revolved around death, and that's why in most cases, especially if you're younger, I try to do this. I'll show you my policy in just a second. In most cases, the only way to conquer death is with permanent life insurance. So think about this. Of all the insurances you could own, none of them are really guaranteed to pay anything back. You could run out and buy a health contract, health insurance policy. It doesn't mean you'll ever collect. You could buy car insurance. Doesn't mean you'll have a wreck. Home insurance. This goes on and on. But I can assure you, if you buy the right type of life insurance, one day you'll die and you will get all your money back, guaranteed, if you have the right type of policy. Now, I'm going to have Aaron zoom in on this, but for instance, I have 4 of these contracts. I like dividend participating whole life. Here's a contract right now I have. Recently, I just borrowed from this, but as you can see on this, at age 57, that's this year, I've already built up in this product $196,000. So again, I recently borrowed money from him, and I was able to borrow it out tax-free. I'm paying myself back plus interest. And then also, if I were to die, my wife or my kids, whoever's around, is going to get a check, listen to this, for $924,000 tax-free. And the premium on this never goes up. I mean, to me, what a deal. So what happens is the life insurance, I'm going to show you this in a second, replaces that which we want to enjoy. Okay, so what are the other 2 main categories that would go into retirement accounts or retirement income planning? The second category would be annuities. Okay, if you're a saver, and we like the fixed variety or the
fixed indexed variety. That's all that we sell, and we make commissions on these, which most people that sell them do. The beauty of the annuities, this is where we get our mailbox money, okay? That's our lifetime income that is guaranteed. Now this is the difference. This is what tickles me. Sometimes I'll be watching people, you Google around and people say, oh, I hate those annuities. You don't want annuities. And I'll say, why don't you want something guaranteed? So you always have to ask people, when they're bashing annuities, you have to say, is what you're offering me, am I guaranteed that I'll never run out of money? And there's no way they can say yes to that, because they can't. Only annuities are set up to provide guaranteed lifetime income you could never outlive. So what percentage do we put in annuities? Only through an analysis through someone like me can we determine that. But we will recommend a certain percentage there, okay? And by the way, this is just one of mine. Again, I've got 2 different annuities, but this particular contract you can see, I need to update this. This is last year's. Well, this is 2015. I need to get an updated statement. No big deal. But you can see this one has a cash value of almost $500,000, and then I've also got an income account of $610,000. So whenever I want mailbox money, that $610,000 is growing guaranteed until such time as I'm ready for mailbox money, and the company will calculate that. It's guaranteed to last my lifetime, and because I've got the life insurance, I'm going to elect what's called the single life option, which will pay me even more money. Much more efficient to do it that way, but you got to have the life insurance in most cases to elect single option. Again, these are the types of things I will help you think through as we go through your income plan and make sure you understand the nuances of annuities. I would suggest this, by the way. Most of you who are looking at going to these dinner seminars and stuff, they are usually all revolved around annuities. So they're going to get around to pitching annuities. So again, my suggestion, hey, get all the information you can before you make a final decision. Please come to us for a second opinion. Let us run all your numbers through our proprietary software. We have the only software that's created for savers. I know that because I've created it. It is licensed and proprietary to us. Let us take you through our process to make sure the annuity is right for you and that you understand how to use the annuity properly. We'll do that. And again, everybody gets the same commission, so why wouldn't you work with somebody that does this all the time? Just a thought. The brokerage account, okay? In general, the brokerage account is going to include some good, strong government bonds, okay? It may include some corporate bonds. We like ETFs, exchange-traded funds, because the fees are so low. Now, the exchange-traded funds can include, obviously, large cap stocks. You could do small caps. We don't do as much of that because of the risk, etc. So there's all kinds of things we can do. And this account over here, the goal is to try to get a little bit of growth. And more importantly, you have your liquidity there. So this way, as we're getting into retirement planning, and for instance, I met a couple today, really interesting case. She just retired this past year. She doesn't really need a lot of money, but the problem is she's a little behind the 8 ball because they have some credit card debt. They have very little in savings, so she came to me and she said, Tony, I don't know what to do about this credit card debt. What should I do? Well, in this case, we're going to roll her 401k over, put it into our process, but we're going to take, let me show you how I would diagram this here, and you may have to slide over. So in this case, let me show you how we're going to do this. And I'll just make up numbers. It's a small world, folks. You may know these people. Who knows? But let's just say they have $400,000 in a 401k, and the credit card debt over here is $20,000, and it's at 8%, okay? Not good. And obviously they're having trouble paying that back because the interest is eating their lunch. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any money in the bank. We don't have any cash value life insurance. If I had cash value life insurance, I could just borrow it from there and pay it off, but we don't have that. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to roll this out, okay? We'll have some of it in the annuity, okay, because that'll be future mailbox money down the road. And then the other portion, CS, is Charles Schwab. So Charles Schwab is going to be our custodian. These will all be put in IRAs. There's no additional out-of-pocket cost to move all this over. We'll do all of that. Our staff are highly trained to make sure this happens and happens in a way that won't create taxes or unnecessary fees. And then the Charles Schwab will estimate how much we're going to have to pull out to pay this off, which already it looks like with their other tax liabilities that they're going to have to deal with, we're going to have to yank an immediate $30,000 out of the Schwab account once we get this rolled over. We'll estimate the taxes on it because remember, everything that comes out of a 401k or IRA is fully taxable. And this is where I call it the tax tumor. So in this case, though, once we get this paid off, the credit cards, they're averaging $800 a month on those credit cards. And this is high interest. So really, the $800 a month is not really paying this off very quickly. So this $800 a month, I'll draw kind of a dotted arrow, rather than going up here and paying the banks or whoever's backing this credit card all this money. I mean, 8% is a lot. Probably if you have credit cards, it's even higher than this. This is pretty low, actually, for a credit card. Now we can take that $800 a month, okay, and we can live on it. That's what we want to do, don't we? You know, there's really only three things that happen to money, folks, and this is really practical, and it's basic fundamentals when it comes to money. Whatever, all this money sitting over here, let's take this 401k. There's only three things you can do with it. You can leave it there and invest it. You can spend it and enjoy it, which is really what the money's for anyway. That's what the Worry-Free Retirement's all built on, is spending and enjoy our money. And then the next thing, though, you can incur costs. So again, many of you are sitting there, you don't know what the taxes are going to be. You haven't integrated any of this with Social Security. You don't know how to pull money out in order to get rid of some of these bad debts. You certainly don't know the fees. And then many of you think it's too late that you can't get life insurance. So all of these things are very practical. We understand all three components of these three-legged stools. So let me encourage you. Why don't you set up an appointment to meet with me in person? There's no cost or obligation. We can do this at either our Bowling Green, Kentucky office or Louisville office. By the way, I said something the other day on the show. We are obviously staying open in our Bowling Green office. We are moving our Louisville offices in the spring. The Louisville offices will be moved to 8303 Shelbyville Road. Again, that's going to be more in the spring of 2018. Very excited about that. Real close to the Waterston Expressway. Again, 8303 Shelbyville Road. Maybe if you're out in Louisville, right around, you can go by and check it out. We're doing a lot of major remodeling. We're getting Aaron, America's favorite financial sidekick, a brand new big old studio. It's going to be some fun stuff. So log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started button. Let's meet in person. Go over your information, no cost or obligation. I would love to do that in the near future at your convenience. By the way, what does the Bible have to say with anything about three-legged stools? Well, it doesn't, but it does have something to say about diversifying your assets because you never know what can happen. I'm going to get me a cup of coffee. Good stuff when I return. I'll be right back. Did you realize that Uncle Sam has a plan for your retirement savings that could penalize as much as 50% of it? It's called the Required Minimum Distribution, or RMD. And regardless of whether you're young or old, retired or still working, you need a game plan to maximize your RMD. Visit TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the free RMD webinar button to learn the 10 strategies to maximizing your RMD. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and we'll see you soon.
All right, welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker, and we've saved just a few minutes for what the Bible has to say about money. And I guess if you could kind of put a theme around this particular segment or show today, it really is the concept of diversification. Now, what the financial world has always said, oh yeah, you diversify that within your 401k plan. Well, that's not really diversification, folks. That's just putting it in several different funds. But in most cases, let's say you're in maybe a 20-30 fund, a target fund or something in the 401k. Well, pretty much most of that money's in the market. So if the market goes down, you're not really diversified. You're going to lose money. That's not what we mean. Diversification, in my view, means you are putting your assets, your time, your money, your talents into totally different things that are kind of unrelated to one another. If something happens over here, it doesn't negatively affect something over there. That's what true diversification is, and the Bible speaks to this very clearly. One of my favorite books on money in the Bible is Ecclesiastes. So let's turn there. Let's go to 11:1, Ecclesiastes 11:1. First of all, it says, cast your bread. Of course, bread, that's what you're going to eat, right? Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Now let's stop there for a minute. This is a true symbolism of faith. I mean, when you think about it, why would you take bread, that's your subsistence, right? You have to have bread to live on, and throw it out in the water Obviously, water would soak it up, it'd draw it away, you'd lose it, you would think. And no, what it's saying is, no, you won't. The bread will come back. So by faith, we work hard, and in this case, what I'm translating this to mean is we invest it. We put it somewhere. We have faith that what we're doing makes sense. This is why it's so critical that you need to know yourself. Are you a saver, investor, or speculator? If you don't know yourself and you're blindly throwing money all over the place, you could be having the best intentions, and so could your advisor, but that's probably why you're all stressed and worried. You've got it invested maybe in too risky a place, or maybe it's not diversified, but you don't know how to gauge that, so there you are. Now, let's go to the important part. The second part of this says, give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. Same concept. You're not putting your serving, you're not putting your money, or in this case, your assets into one investment or into one area because something could happen to that one area. It would be like, can you imagine you had all of the money in the world invested in just one stock? Now, granted, it might do really well, but you remember Enron, can you imagine? And you lost all your money. It's like, well, who would have ever known, right? So this means that it is very, very crucial, and there's much wisdom involved in this, and intentionally spreading this money out or diversifying it. Well, how about you? Maybe you're sitting there feeling like, well, Tony, I don't really understand diversification. I didn't realize you all offer this many services and this many different products, and that you could help me in the retirement income world. Folks, that's all we do, and we've been doing it longer than most people even knew how to spell retirement income. So why don't you give us a chance? If you're retired or nearing retirement and you want to just sit down with me in person, we've done literally over 2,000 retirement income plans. I know this field very well, and I would be honored to just sit down and go over your stuff. It's very simple to do. You just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Once there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, our staff will then contact you, set up a mutually convenient time to meet at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office, and then we'll sit down to go over your information. The first appointment, there's no charge, there's no obligation. All we do is try to get a better understanding of who you are, what you've got to work with, and where it is you're trying to go. And I can assure you it'll be time well spent. So again, take advantage of that, or give us a call toll-free at 877-499-WALK, 877-499-WALK. Well, until next time, you make it a good day. And between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.